Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? If I asked you one big takeaway from rookie minicamp, what would it be?
It would be the first thing I saw, which is when I walked into the Saints indoor facility just to look at just the stretch portion. I didn't have a roster on me. I looked up. I said, "Who is number 90?" And I looked down, and it was Brazee. He just physically he looked incredibly healthy. He looked good just from a physical standpoint. I thought first impression, that to me was the biggest thing that jumped out was just physically. Brazee looks healthy and ready to go. He and Isaiah Fox, the first two picks that obviously they're on the defensive line, but Brazee was the one I was looking at just because there had been some issues in terms of injury and where he's at from a health standpoint, things he went through a season ago, both on the field and off the field. But the very, very, very first impression was who was number 90. To look down to see that was the first round pick, to me that was a positive thing.
That would definitely qualify. Can you just take a quick second and explain how they set up rookie minicamp, like what the schedule was like and what they did?
Well, it was a little bit limited for us this year. Last year, we were able to actually watch the entire practice. We couldn't shoot the entire practice. We were able to watch the entire practice. But this year, what we were able to see, they separated offense and defense. They separated DBs, linebackers, D-linemen, and then quarterbacks. The quarterbacks were also working with running backs, throwing routes, and obviously offensive linemen and receivers were doing individual drills. And at some point, there was what we were able to see wide receiver doing quarterback and wide receiver drills, obviously quarterback to wide receiver. Then at some point, this is when they took us out of the room. They transitioned into a 7-on-7 period and then a full team period. It was only one period apiece in 7-and-7 and the full team. It's a fairly short workout. It's just it's orientation, if you will. When you go to high school or college, it's orientation. Get a limited sample size of what you might see and just kind of give them a little taste of the professional life. And then obviously when they get on the field in a couple of weeks for OTAs, they start to get the full dose of the playbook and just being around the veterans and everything else. But it's just a way for those guys to get acclimated and a way for the coaches to get their first chance to see them on the field in black and gold.
Sean, we often talk before rookie minicamp about the guys who have minicamp tryout invites. Did any, again, limited, but based on what you saw, what you've heard, anybody stand out?
From a tryout standpoint?
Yeah.
Well, I do know they signed Jack Heflin today, the defensive tackle. He wasn't a rookie tryout guy. He was a guy that had been in the XFL, had played in the NFL before, and sometimes that happens in kind of the veteran mix where kind of off and on of a roster, go to a different league and come back where you're not technically a rookie, but you get invited to a rookie minicamp. He was able to impress them enough to get a roster spot or at least a contract coming out of rookie minicamp. Other minicamp tryout guys that really stood out. I watched a lot of the quarterbacks. I wouldn't tell you that the XFL quarterback looked impressive or not, but he was just one of the ones that jumped out in terms of you kind of follow the ball with those things. And he was obviously there was only two quarterbacks out there, and he was the other one. So I haven't seen any other tryout guys that earned the contract. It usually happens where somebody that gets on the field as a tryout guy, as a pure rookie, ends up looking a lot better than an undrafted guy that you signed right after the draft, and they end up kind of bumping that player. But I haven't seen that happen yet, mainly because I think they still got some spots to fill, so you wouldn't necessarily bump one for a tryout guy. But that should be coming here, if it hasn't happened yet, probably within the next day or two, if any of those tryout guys are under contract.
Sean Fazende with us from Fox 8. Since you brought up quarterbacks, let me just ask, any impressions watching Kane or slinging around a bit?
Yeah, I liked him. I mean, he's got that natural accuracy. I only saw routes on air, but, if you want to get a look at ball placement on certain throws, I think he had that. Over routes, back shoulder routes, seam throws, that sort of thing. He had natural accuracy, decent arm strength. He's not going to be a power thrower, but I think he had decent arm strength. I asked Dennis Allen about him afterwards. He said the first thing he said was very intelligent. From the neck up is where it really stands out. We talked to him after. You kind of pick up on that. He's just got a good a good football IQ, a good just sense of football. He's got a really good sense of timing when you watch his tape from college. Can't really pick that up at rookie minicamp, obviously, at least what we were able to see. But, for a fourth-round pick, I would say he was worth it.
Sean Fazende, Fox 8 in New Orleans. Hey, before you go, let me just ask, did any of the other rookies stand out? Anything from the other rookies that maybe grabbed your attention?
Well, I was watching A.T. Perry quite a bit. He looks the part. He's tall. He's the guy that can get downfield, catch the ball downfield. Had a little issue early in the practice with some first-level shorter routes, but nonetheless was able to watch him quite a bit. Sal DeVeri kicked inside, worked a little at right guard, so that was certainly interesting to see. Who am I missing? Oh, and obviously the running back, Kendre Miller, off to the side, working with trainers, something that we noticed. Kind of expected that going in, but hopefully he'll be back before training camp. At least that's what they said that he was going to be back. So overall, it was a pretty limited sample size of what we were able to see, but we tried to get as much of an impression as we can, and that was about it over at Saints Rookie Minicamp.
First look before the Saints hit the field for OTAs, and before we know it, man, training camp will be here at the end of July. He's Sean Fazende, Fox 8 there in New Orleans. We appreciate it as always, man. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.